Hey everybody, Jim and Roth here to talk about the big Star Wars rumor of the day, and we do stress rumor. Roth, tell us, what exactly did the interwebs give us today in terms of Star Wars rumor mill?
Well, this is the gift of the interwebs today. So AMC Movie Talk, which does basically a daily video movie podcast kind of thing, they were doing a marathon to benefit the Philippines Relief Fund, right? So for 24 hours, they're doing a 24-hour movie podcast. John Schnepp, one of the regular guests on the show, who's also a director for Metalocampus, which I can never say, it always comes out as Metalocampus.
He did some stuff for Venture Brothers, too, right?
Did some stuff for Venture Brothers. We had him on our podcast because he's had that Kickstarter fund for
the unmade Tim Burton, Nicolas Cage Superman movie.
The documentary about that. Yep. So in any event, some point during the podcast, he says, listen, I know for a fact that one of the Star Wars spin-off films is going to be focused on Boba Fett. I know that for a fact. I will not reveal my sources. But not only is it going to focus on Boba Fett, who's it written by?
Lawrence Kasdan, who we know is already working on Episode 7, and he's sort of been brought in to be the godfather of these. Of course, he rewrote Empire Strikes Back, wrote Jedi, wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So, I mean, obviously they're bringing him in, as we know, to take a big part in this new wave of the cinematic universe of Star Wars. He, in effect, was the first, he rewrote, but he was the person that, in a way, gave birth to Boba Fett in some ways. You know? And
kind of helped add a sort of an adult pedigree, really, to what it started off as basically Flash Gordon, but he couldn't make Flash Gordon. So let's talk about this rumor. Boba Fett, is he the best bet, the best character to start with, if this all pans out, of being the first solo movie, the first Star Wars solo movie?
The solo movie?
Oh, see, you can't even use the word solo in Star Wars.
Anybody?
The first spin-off movie.
The first spin-off
standalone.
Movie. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's funny because, of course, these rumors have been going on forever, ever since the sale took place, basically. Once we heard that there were going to be spin-off movies, oh my God, maybe we'll see the Boba Fett movie. Years ago, during the first Captain America, I interviewed Joe Johnson, and I said, oh, hey, did you show your old mentor, Lucas, Captain America? He said, no, but I did recently talk to him about a Boba Fett movie. Yeah. So in my world, this rumor has been going on for many years before the sale even took place. I think it's a very obvious choice. Yeah. Boba Fett's an extremely popular character.
But he's an anti-hero, though, too. Is that smart to start off with somebody who is basically kind of sort of a bad guy, or are they banking on the fact that now you have an entire generation of people who've grown up with the prequels, which basically give you sort of Boba's origin story to a degree, and with Clone Wars? You know, I mean,
this is interesting because, as you know, I've been on about the age of the anti-hero. I mean, we know that they're going to tackle Venom. I think if there's any time for big franchises to tackle an anti-hero, it's now. Okay. I think the audience is primed for it. I think that we're sort of geared to think that way about our heroes anyway.
But are we going to see Boba Fett without the mask for a good chunk of the movie? Because we haven't ever really had a movie, except for, I think, the last Judge Dredd movie, where the main hero has been basically his face covered for the entire film. I mean, I don't see that going over unless Boba Fett is going to be kind of like the way they did Master Chief in that Halo Forward Unto Dawn thing, where maybe he is sort of a key supporting character in a movie about some other folks, and he's like the cool gunslinger type guy that comes along. I don't know. I'm just spitballing people.
Well, this is what I mean, as to that, first let me say that we know that Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars is not tackling Venom. That is elsewhere. I'm just saying that this is an age that I feel like the anti-hero can be brought forth in a big franchise kind of manner. Will he have the mask on the whole time? No. I mean, I think Dredd did that, and it was a bold move, you know, but I don't think that they'll do that. Will it be an origin story for him? Possibly. I mean, that was the original rumor, that it was going to be an origin story for Boba Fett and then another one for Han.
How Boba got his groove back.
How Boba got his groove on in the first place. We saw a little bit in the prequels of that, but maybe that can be filled out a bit. What I would like to see is kind of like...
Does he keep his dad's severed head?
Yeah, he does in a jar. Yeah. In a jar, kind of like
right
there. In the paperweight on the desk.
Bookshelf and everything. Yeah.
I think that what I would like to see is sort of an adventure story, an Indiana Jones in tone, in that it's like an individual adventure, so that, yeah, it's one spin-off movie, but maybe there could be several adventures and things like that. I think that could be cool, but probably if we are going to introduce because I'm doing it, if there is going to be the introduction of an anti-hero, what we probably will need to see is a little bit of context for him. So maybe there will need to be an origin.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he works for Jabba. I think one potentially interesting way to go is to look at the old Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone kind of Man with No Name movies, where he was a badass. He would have been the villain in any other movie, but because he was up against even worse people, he was the hero. He was the anti-hero. And sort of, not much was known about him. And he was, I think, a bounty hunter at one point, or he was going up against like Lee Van Cleef and those guys, and make it that sort of thing where maybe you can get around it that way. The whole anti-hero villain. Is he a villain? Because when we were growing up, he started off as a villain.
He was a villain, but I mean, I think that people just in the culture feel differently about him at this point and are interested in this character. And I think that he can be an anti-hero, like you say, if there's a villain that's even worse than he is, or if there's context to explain his actions. Why is he the way he is? And that's kind of an origin.
Daddy got his head chopped off. That's why. Sorry, I'm gonna get so much hate for this now. But all right, so let's think now of okay. So you've got basically the brand recognition of a character like Boba Fett. Do you need stars for a movie like that, or can you get basically an unknown, or
Well, this is the other interesting thing. I think it's kind of like Marvel's been set up in the sense of Marvel Studios, Marvel Disney collaborations. Well, there's two things. One, no, I don't think you do, because I think in the case of something like Star Wars, the franchise and the characters are the stars, and the films make stars the same way as happened in the Marvel films. They take people that are either struggling in their careers,
like Hayden Christensen.
Well, okay, this new iteration. But also the other thing is that they've said they're going to set it up like the Marvel movies in that they're all interconnected. So one question is the time frame.
Right.
Because if this is taking place later, where would Boba Fett fit into that? Would an origin story, are there different time periods?
How old is he going to be and all that? All right, well, we have so many unanswered questions, like, is this even true?
The first and most important question is...
But Star Wars is always worth talking about, and we'll talk more about not only episodes 7 through 9, but the sure-to-be standalone movies that will be coming in between those films and the years ahead here on IGN. So thanks for watching.